Now it's time to welcome our line opinion panelists for the week. We're happy to be joined by, in studio by the way, former state representative Daniel Foley. Right to his left, our regular attorney Sophie Martin is with us, and CEO of Girl Scouts of America and former New Mexico Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Latham right across the table there. Thank you all for being here. Now, unsustainable. That's the word used by Senator George Munoz, the state Senate Finance Committee chair, talking to the Santa Fe New Mexican about a proposed $9.6 billion spending bill. The state Senate approved it Sunday with a more than $1 billion increase in spending. The House passage Wednesday night means a 30% increase in recurring expenses is headed to the governor's desk, Daniel. Big money here. You know, you sat through budget negotiations during your time in the House, no doubt about that. Would you have been one of those people saying, hey guys, we need to stop here. Something's not quite going on track.
You've known me since I was in the legislature. Where do you think I would have been?
I know where you would have been. I want to hear you say it.
I mean, I think it's insane. I think, you know, this I don't want to take all the time, but here's one of the problems we have. When Gary Johnson was governor, not discussing his time, there was a big fight where he tried to cut back some programs.
I recall it well.
And he got sued. And it went to the state Supreme Court, and the state Supreme Court said, once you create an entitlement program, you can stop the entitlement program, but you're responsible for everybody that joined when it was on. You can't kick them off. And so one of the biggest concerns I always have is I'm like, well, how many of these programs are you starting that are entitlement programs? Because if you do this and you grow them, and 5 years from now we don't have the money, you can't go back to today and say we're going to kick all these people off that were on there. You have to now figure out how to absorb that growth over the 3, 4, 5 years of the programs that you've put on there. And I feel like at the end of the day, there's not a lot of gumption by anybody in the legislature. It's not just a party issue. I mean, there's Republicans up there that can't spend enough money. And at the end of the day, you know, I'll finish by telling you kind of a funny side note. I wrote an op-ed years ago about this, and I said, you know, we should be embarrassed. I said, we're spending money like drunken sailors. And I got a letter from a guy who said, my name is Joe. I just want you to know I'm a drunken sailor, and I'm insulted by your comments. And he skipped a few lines. And he said, because when I'm drunk, I spend my money. I don't spend your money. So don't besmirch the name of drunken sailors by saying that those people are like us. So, you know, at some point, I will say this, you know, I appreciate Senator Munoz and others coming up and saying things, but it's one thing to say something. You have the ability to fix it. You have the ability to say enough's enough. And so, you know, we're in a position now. I think when I was in the legislature, we got to $1 billion for the first time in the budget. And because I was in the 90s, I'm old. I think we got to $1 billion the first time.
That's back when my rent was like $300,
there you go.
$400.
we got to $1 billion, and I thought we were all like, oh my gosh. And now we're talking almost $10 billion for a budget. I mean, just put that in perspective. There's what, 1.3 million people in the state of New Mexico. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. And then on top of that, we're at the bottom of a lot of good polls. We're at the top of a lot of bad polls. So at some point, you got to say to yourself, what are we doing? Like, where's our educational system? Where's our road infrastructure? What are we doing for the crime and drug epidemic in the state that's going on? How are we fixing these problems? The answer seems to be, well, we're going to tax more. We're going to come up with another tax, and it's kind of troublesome.
I just want to say though, I think nobody should be surprised, and I probably will get the drunken sailor emails now, but not that I'm going to call anybody that. But you know, here's what we know about the two parties, right? You have one party that's profoundly interested in cutting taxes and cutting spending, and another party that's profoundly interested in providing services which do cost money. And both parties,
That's a really nice way of putting it.
Each party, when they're in, it's not the only thing they're interested in. We'll talk about some of those other things later today. But each party, when they are in power within state government, federal government, et cetera, looks to lock in what they can lock in that meets their goals and their perspective on governance. And so do Republicans attempt to make tax cuts permanent or so unpalatable to change that no one would dream of touching it? Absolutely. Do Democrats attempt to put programs in place that it'll be too unpopular or legally difficult to remove them? Absolutely. That's part of the push and pull of governance. I think though, you know, in this particular case, there has also been a lot of angst over like, oh, this happened behind closed doors, et cetera, et cetera. And you know what? Each party does that when they're in power.
That's exactly right.
And when you get down, I really believe when you get down to, I don't like the way the sausage was made, you've lost the war on what is actually, in this case, in the budget package. If that's all you have left, that money's going through, it's going to be spent.
That's an interesting point there. I want to circle back to something specifically on that point, Sophie, but I want to get Rebecca in on this point. According to Source New Mexico, I mean, a lot of agencies are receiving hundreds of millions of dollars beyond even their own ask. I mean, we're talking about Medicaid, the state's natural resources agencies, public ed, we're going to talk about that, higher ed, early childhood education, $4 million more has been set aside for tourism, $2 million more for economic development. I'm not using a tone here like it's wrong. My tone is about, wait a minute, is anyone really watching how we're doling out this kind of money? I'm asking Rebecca, in your former position, you've got a bit of a different feel here in your gut. Do you like how you're seeing this come around?
Well, I don't think anybody likes the idea of shenanigans,
Right.
backroom deals. I think someone called it poppycock.
Right.
But also, this is not new. The Senate Finance Committee does this every single year, so it's interesting to read Senator Munoz saying this is the last year we're doing this. It's like, I don't know why the attention given to it now, but I distinctly remember going through the Senate Finance Committee, lobbying for the priorities that the executive outlined, and there being some push and pull there, but also knowing it ain't over yet.
Right.
There's still going to be some things that are added in, and the Senate
right.
Finance Committee is known for adding things in.
Right.
At the last minute. I think the only thing that made it more noticeable this time is that they passed it before they put their stuff in,
Right.
and then they brought it back and
Right.
said we're going to put more stuff in and then pass it, and so that it's just they just did the same thing that they always do. They just got caught because
That's
they
right.
had a misstep.
That's right.
But I think the other thing to keep in mind, and I don't know, I have not read House Bill 2 now. I don't know how each of the requests stand, but I know that when you're giving agencies more money than they're asking for, those are pet projects.
Right.
That's and whether they came in at the beginning or they came in at the end,
Right.
those are exactly like, those are pass-throughs. And
right.
if there's a process for having your project funded, then follow the process. Don't lobby for your own project, have it be turned down, and then squeeze something in at the back. It doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And the unsustainable part really scares. As a wife of a state employee,
Right.
the unsustainability of a budget
Right.
really concerns me.
Consider the last two years, just the increases in only 2 years, just phenomenal. But guys, we have this. We have a release from the governor's office from Michelle Lujan Grisham. Headline: Governor urges fiscal responsibility on tax package. Now, this is as we tape this Thursday midday, and we're barreling towards Saturday midday, Sophie, where this tax package, the governor's quote from this release, put simply, this tax package cuts too deep, too quickly. She's not crazy about how this is coming down. What are we headed towards
You're
here?
going to have this push and pull, and we see this on the federal level as well. Like, okay, we didn't get what we want in our budget, but we can starve the beast, right? Let's use is this George Lakoff term. And so, the battle over budget doesn't end when the budget package is put together. There's
Right.
also how are we going to fund this? And you can probably characterize it better than I can, but
It's a fair
the battle's
deal.
not done.
It's a fair deal. I would also say that part of the problem is, and this is what happens with the second term of a governor, right? Now legislators start saying, listen, I got to run 3 more times. You don't have to run at all. And so, you're going to start doing this stuff. I get it what you want to do, but it's not what I want to do. And guess what? You don't ever have to stand up before the voters again. And I do in 12 months. I got to go out and start raising money today, and this is the kind of stuff that's going to make somebody go out and be able to do the things they need to do to get reelected. The worst place to be in Santa Fe is between a legislator and a camera. I mean, that's the most dangerous position.
I think I saw a
Yes.
tweet from Darren White recently that said campaigns are a terrible drug or a dangerous drug because they do lead you to make really poor decisions. He's an expert.
We've got some interesting quotes here from some senators saying, we need to slow down here. This is madness. Let me throw one more on the table here, just a little bit short on time.
Hold on, Judge, I was going to tell you before you go on that, what's interesting though is all this talk, I'm thinking back about Senate finance and all these quotes from senators. When I was in the legislature, it wasn't the Senate that had anything to do with finance. It was Max Call and House Appropriations. That's right. And then once things changed and Manny took over, the role switched. It used to be, back when I was in the legislature, these conversations would be about what the Speaker was saying, what Max Call was saying, what House Appropriations was saying, and they seem to have abdicated that authority to the Senate now.
That's actually an interesting point there. You're right. Something seems to have switched. Now, let me, tax rebates. Sophie, let me start with you. I mean, we're back to 500 for single people, 1,000 for couples. The governor wanted more. The legislator wanted less at some point. Do these things mean anything at the end of the day after all we're talking about?
I think for individuals and for couples, since since you brought that up, I think it does make a difference.
Okay.
And in a state as poor as New Mexico, any sort of cash infusion, I would expect that the majority of New Mexicans will spend that money quickly.
It makes great mailers at election time.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
and
true.
I'll tell you what, like as a mom, I used to be able to budget $150 a week to go get my groceries. Now we're spending $300 a week for my family of 4. A one-time tax rebate does nothing for me. A tax reform, that is monumental change for New Mexico families. Don't just throw a couple bucks my way. Like, I need help at the grocery store long term.
And the gas pumps and all the other
Right.
things. I mean,
All
here's the thing that, Gina, I know we're running short of time. We're talking about, we have a press release that's talking about tax cuts are too deep, yet we have the largest surplus of money the state's ever had. I mean, at some point, people are going to catch on and say, how can you say it's not worth giving money back or cutting taxes for the citizens in the state of New Mexico, or doing more to attract individuals or businesses when you have the most money in reserves, the most money coming in, you had the profit year, record
Isn't
year.
the Republican Party the group that said we can't spend on things like early childhood education because we've got to save for the rainy day? We still have the potential of rainy day, and I feel like the Republican Party has done a good job of pointing out that could be coming. Right. You can't really have it. I guess we all try to have it both ways.
I'm not saying that we should save this. First, I'd say two things. First of all, I think there should be opportunities to get this money back in the hands of the people that are earning it. Secondly, I would say, I'll be the lone guy speaking out against early childhood education. We are now 51st in the country in educating kids. So I think it's a great idea to get a program that puts kids in our education system earlier, because we're so bad at educating them as it is. The sooner we get started, the better off we'll be in the end.
Thanks for our line opinion panel on that one. We'll be right back here at the table in about 10 minutes to talk about the threat of legal action over the proposed abortion rights bill. We're going to talk about that one.